Yeah, so I'm from Ethiopia. My name is Tsegaselassie Tadesse, so it's kind of hard to say, right? I'm a front-end developer. I work remotely. I've been working remotely for the past 2 years. I do a lot of Drupal stuff, web design, whatever. So our company is engaged in building enterprise web presences for Fortune 5,000 companies. And yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. I don't know, anything else?
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate the introduction. So have you always focused on front end?
Not really. Started out as actually as a .NET developer, so there was no front end backing then. So
that's so cool. I have an affinity for .NET, despite everybody telling me
really?
not to. Yeah, I know. Everybody judges me for it, but I'm like, I actually kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, but it's 2020, man.
I know it's 2020, but still, I don't know. I just have an affinity for C#.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I've done a lot of PHP, some Ruby, Rails stuff. Currently doing a lot of JavaScript. So yeah, been around.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear about the Remote Developers Playbook, and I'm actually going to start playback now.
I want to note too that I let him know that the time allotted for speakers was 30 minutes, and the file he sent over is 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Very spot on.
Yeah.
Very spot on.
Attending this talk. The talk is in Remote Developers Playbook. Just to say a few things about myself. My name is Tsegaselassie Tadesse. I'm a front-end developer at Avid Learner. I work remotely, obviously. These are my social links if you want to reach out to me. I've been working as a software developer for over 14 years now. I've been doing remote work for the last 2. To get started, so the quality, we're going to focus on the qualities of an effective remote developer. What I mean by effective is people who get things done, people who have progress in their careers, people who are looked up to. So essentially, these are what you would call the rockstar developers. But before we get started in this, I want to make something clear about what remote means. First of all, remote is not freelancing, okay? Remote is not part-time. It's a full-time job. Most remote jobs are done from home, but it doesn't mean you have to do it from home. It just means that, you're able to do it from anywhere. And last, of course, a remote developer doesn't mean you're lazy. You don't do this every day. It's not like you're sleeping 12 hours or, just relaxing in your couch. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about regarding an effective remote developer would be their communication skills. So as you might consider, because of lack of physical presence and the issue that people are not near each other, they cannot read their body language or how they're acting and everything, communication is quite key to be a successful remote developer. So I would categorize communication into 3 different categories. One is one-to-one communication. So effective developers, when you meet them one-to-one, they are very detailed. They provide you with full context of what you are going to talk about. And usually they focus on completeness of information that's being passed on. And sometimes, of course, these one-to-one communications are for the purpose of criticizing. Which is not a bad thing. It's actually constructive criticism of their work, of their behavior, whatnot. If you're planning to be a remote developer, you need to have the skill of communication. I could actually end the whole talk here. That's how important it is. The next category of communication is one-to-many. If you do a Scrum or Agile methodology, that'll be your daily stand-up. where you're given a very small amount of time. You're supposed to summarize what you've done or what you are doing or what you plan to do. And you provide a little bit of context because people may not know what exactly where you are and what you're doing. Usually communicate with the interest of time. So you don't want to keep a lot of people engaged in the meeting for too long. That would be boring. That would be unproductive. That's like killing your time and killing company time. And the last type of communication is many-to-many. This would involve a lot of stakeholders. So this would be more of a protocol-based communication. So you don't speak whenever you want to speak. You communicate based on requests. Also, you keep it very short. Most of these types of communications are rehearsed. So usually in our company, this would be meeting with the client. That would involve high-level people, managers of that sort. And you probably want to say a few things here and there, but you just keep it short and you make it to points which were already discussed in a different meeting. All right. So one other aspect of communication I want to show is how effective developers have a way of expressing themselves, expressing what they do and their interaction with their team. They would usually articulate what success would mean to them and what kind of challenges they're facing, what excites them, what's irritating them, like a situation with a team member or a manager. They would be able to tell you this if you ask them. They would also be good at specifying, their needs, their desires, and they'll be good at, making these very real and tangible. Moving on to the work environment, when they communicate in the work environment, they would be a lot more structured. You would see that, they would define what they want to communicate into certain points, which are all targeted to providing progress to their work. Okay, so they would probably be able to describe situations like what happened yesterday, what's going to happen today, or what happened during the demo. And they talk about risks, like they have to communicate this clearly to whoever is involved and who's managing them. They have to come up with mitigation plans. They have to discuss their blockers, those things that have been blocking their way of progress, their work, and all of this pointing to success or progress in their work. When it comes to teams, so the key word here is synergy. The whole purpose of communication, of being an effective communicator as a remote developer, is to have a relationship with the team where you are able to work like you're working as one person. Like you would understand people's positions, where they are, the relationships between the team members, what combination of people actually work together better, what conflicts are there. I mean, as long as you're going to be working with people, there's going to be conflict. Who likes you, who doesn't like you, or who do you need to make yourself clear about, or how do you clear miscommunications, things of that sort. And of course, the work is done through collaboration. I have never seen a big company or any company that does software development or any type of work without a number of people getting involved in collaboration. So that is an important point to always consider. There are like 4 aspects or 5 aspects to this that I want to see. One is time management. So I've never seen a remote developer who's very responsible, who everybody looks up to, that is not punctual or that does not consider the other people's time. So it is vital that as a remote developer, you cannot be late for meetings, not even like 5 minutes late, because that's like 5 minutes late of several people. And you're taking or you're eating time out of. And the other is it's related to work, and you need to have this mechanism of being able to estimate your work, like how much time would, for example, as a front-end developer, how much time would creating a login form take you? You should be able to say that. And related to that, how much time can you really commit? You should be able to say, if you're going to work for 8 hours, at least mark out 8 hours of your day for work. I know not everybody works 8 hours, and it's probably impossible to work all the 8 hours, but at least mark it out, block it out for your work. The other is measurement. So you've estimated, you have blocked your time, but you also need to know the actual time that was taken to do the job. So that developer or that remote engineer should be able to measure his productivity on a daily basis, on a task basis. So it's one important aspect that I've seen that, some of the best developers that I work with, they know how much time they spent in a day doing what they were doing. And the other, of course, is, it comes with being a remote developer. It's distractions, okay? If you're working from home, you have family members, you have children, there will be distraction, and you need to give at least some leeway for that. You cannot avoid it. If you can, that's good. But if you cannot, just embrace it, work with it, work around it. And it's something that's going to be popping up every now and then. Task management. So an effective developer would be an expert in prioritizing what needs to be done. So they would know what comes first and what comes second and what comes third. So that manager or as a team lead, you should be able to assign tasks to others. You should know which developer does what type of work in a better way so that you can assign them that specific task that you have that you can give to them. And of course, in any working environment, one important thing would be to balance the work. Have a balanced time schedule where you're not working 12 hours instead of 8 hours, or you're not going overboard by having an all-nighter or something. So this is something important. The other is change management. So even though you have a plan, you have a schedule, you have everything ready and you're working, things change. And when things change, your plans and your schedule should be flexible enough to accommodate that change to a certain extent without you losing track or without you being hindered. There are risks. Things happen. For example, the internet might go off. This has happened to me several times, and you should be able to anticipate that. And if that happens, there should be backup plans, okay, countermeasures. And when change happens, you need to be able to reconfigure your plans and your assignments. And remote developers who are good at their craft know how to handle change. So what I've seen really good developers do is that they know what they're going to do next year, or they have an idea of what they will be in the next 2 years. Okay, this has to align with the company that you're working for. It should align with what they want to achieve as a company. So you need to understand the requirements. So maybe you're just starting out like here as an E1, you have basic knowledge of web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, whatever. But your company might be doing something like a CMS, like Drupal or something, and they want you to be able to have expert level understanding of Drupal before you can move on to E2. So your career development should be aligned to that, and you should have short-term and long-term plans on where you're going. And this is true for every other profession, not just as a developer, but the progress goes from a very small person to a fully grown person into a bigger team. That means your progress would also include involving other people, being responsible for other people. So you need to have not only technical skills, but also people skills, managerial skills. And another aspect which was related to the career development is that an expert remote developer is an avid learner. They take learning very seriously, and they usually have a personal strategy on how to go about it. For example, most of their learning is targeted. So it has a purpose. It requires like commitment. That is, they're going to put a certain amount of effort and a certain amount of time for achieving that, learning goal. And they are usually accountable first to them. The learning is time bound, that it has a start date and an end date. It's not open-ended. Okay, let's put it that way. It's paced. That means whatever they're trying to learn, it has to be spread out into several days, months, weeks. And with that comes, you need to provide time slots, because you're working 8 hours a day. You have family, or you're involved in something else other than work. You have so many hours in a day that you cannot do any learning at all. So you have to put like a certain time slot, maybe 30 minutes a day or an hour a day, for you to do your specific learning. You have to do it. If you don't have that time slot, then it will be very difficult to achieve what you've planned out. The other point with learning is whatever you've learned, you should be able to demonstrate it, to apply it to the jobs, to the work that you have. And better yet, you should be able to share it with other people. If you've learned something new, some new technology, new way of solving a problem, then you should be able to have a skill sharing program where you actually teach other people how to learn the new technology. And the other point, which is very true in our industry, is that the learning is incremental, is continuous. It never stops, and you need to think about long term. So when we talk about learning, it's good to think about learning paths. So as a web developer, there would be, I would consider like three paths, like what's presented here, to be able to find yourself, if you're a web developer, into one of these categories. And you should see these links provided below, like roadmap.sh, where there's like detailed information on how to go about learning and progressing in your career. The other aspect of an expert remote developer is they are expert educators as well. So you would see a lot of people are, a lot of good developers have blogs of their own. This has so much value to your career, not just for showing your qualities, but it is like an advertisement of who you are. And if people have read your blog and have seen what you've been doing for a certain topic, then even getting hired becomes easy, because they have already come. The people who might employ you might have read your blogs and might have found it to be very useful, and they might have even reached out to you through your content because of the quality of your content. So it's something I've been planning to do myself, but I haven't really gone into it. But if it's something that I see most expert developers, remote developers do on a regular basis, and this is something you should embrace as well. It doesn't have to be a long, complicated blog. It just has to be something of value. If you can add value, then you can blog. That's my suggestion. Of course, even more productive people have tutorials online, video tutorials. YouTube is filled with such resources. There are even the learning platforms. Those are people who have like a developer position, but are able to spend some time, teaching other people how to do stuff, and they actually have like a paid tutorial. If you are interested in podcasts, there are so many out there, but you can also have a voice. You can have a different perspective, especially as an African developer. Like the things that are happening near you and close to you, they could be probably different. So sharing that having like a way to communicate that, I think it's a good, it's one of the qualities that make like a very, very interesting and an expert remote developer. The other is speaking, of course. Again, it comes from the learning, it comes from their ability to manage their time, to put time aside to prepare for speaking, to prepare for like tutorials, whatnot, to attend big conferences as an attendee, but also as a speaker, come across with a senior developer who is not keen on sharing his knowledge, giving a talk in some way or fashion. Again, related to that is a show and tell. In our company, we have a show and tell. It's primarily geared towards letting other team members know what you've learned, show them, demonstrate what you've learned. And of course, another major component in this education sharing sphere is community. Most of us are users of open source software, especially in Africa. We rely heavily on open source stuff. There are so many good communities out there. I've had the privilege to be part of the Drupal community, which has been, first of all, a source of a lot of learning for myself. A good deal of friends and acquaintances have come out of that community, and honestly, a lot of benefit, like career-wise. I've my last two jobs have been because of people that I know in the community who've referred me to a possible job opportunity. So I think it's vital that we have a close relationship with the community, whichever community that is, that helps us, that we help as well. And as a remote developer, there are so many communities out there that you can engage with without even being physically present. So I would recommend, as if you want to become a really good remote developer or any type of developer, actually, you need to engage with the community. You need to understand what people need, what you can do, things. And I cannot stress how important this is. And the other attribute I see in a very skilled developer is that they are known for at least one thing. They are a specialist. They have been tried and tested in something, and people have found them to be experts in something. So they are a Bonafide specialist. So if you want to be an effective remote developer, you should somehow be associated with one of the words that are being shown here, or it could be a different one. So my favorite one is, of course, the Drupal wizard right there at the top, or it could be a Python charmer or a Rails conductor. The JavaScript ninja, you've seen that a lot of places. CSS chef. So people need to call you or need to think of these things when they hear your name. Most of the experts in the company I work for, most of the people that are there, you would know who to reach out to if you had a problem in a certain topic, in a certain situation. So those people, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You just go to them and they'll provide you that solution. Even better, you might find something that they've written, a blog post or a video, or some sort of information online that they have documented for themselves, but you can have a look at online. And this has happened to me several times. And this is actually one of the marks of a great developer. you know they are specialists. One huge point I also see in developers is that they are team players. They understand they can't do everything all by themselves. They embrace their role, whether it's a starting position or the leading position. They know their role. Okay, they know the qualities and the responsibilities of their team members. They know when to reach out to people. They know the responsibilities of a certain developer and how to work with them. And they have a good understanding of how things are done. And they don't go about, wondering who's responsible for that. They already know that. And they also not only that, but they also know their role in the team. And one thing that strikes me about such developers is that their level of ownership. So when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to that deadline week, you can be sure that those developers will deliver. Just like this guy, the number 23, Michael Jordan. Whenever it's time for that clutch shot, he's always with the ball. He doesn't drop the ball. He doesn't pass it to anybody. He makes sure that he's the one that does the real work, the most important work, that is delivering. Okay. The next point is they're also good, in assisting others. So they help others into becoming better developers. They help in like one-on-one coding sessions. They help with, they assist with even tasks that are not related to them, but they know how to do it. They are always on the lookout to help others who are being stuck, who are in need, and they're, the whole effort that they put in goes into making sure that there is something to be delivered by the end of all the work. So as a basketball fan, for me, that will be a championship. As a developer, for an effective remote developer, no matter what he or she does, it has to be delivery of that software product in time, within budget, and within expectations, and probably beyond expectations. The last part here is, even though we're focused on work, on being professional, on delivering on time, on working together as a team, there's also a human factor to being an effective or a developer of high standards. Okay, one is, as we are all humans, we need to think about wellness, our well-being, be it physical or emotional. So these people, I have seen them being very conscious of not only of themselves, but of other people's physical and emotional needs. And they are attentive and they care. Okay. So caring is expressed in kindness, the way people communicate with each other. I know there you might be the superstar of the company, but it means it provides little value that you are, if you are brash and very vulgar in your speech. You have to have that human factor. You need to understand the limitations people go through. Not everybody can make it. Not everybody is healthy. Not everybody is quick to understand, or maybe not everybody is privileged to have the resources that you have. So I have seen this in the company that I work. that people who are very good, very talented, they are also caring, and they are also connected. They're concerned about team members. They shared their experiences. They are relatable. As an African, as an Ethiopian, I go through a lot of issues with the internet, with power, with family, but I have a manager that can relate to that, and who not only relates to that, but is also willing to share his experiences, and express his concerns, and he's done this kindly. And I see that if you want to be an effective remote developer, you have to have these qualities. All right. And one other last quality that a remote developer should have, by default, of course, is he or she should be able to work from anywhere. If you see this picture, this was taken in Senegal. Some 200 or 300 meters to the left, to the right, would be the farthest westernmost point of Africa. And I had the privilege to go to a very nice restaurant very near the ocean, and open up my computer and start working. And so the beauty of being a remote developer is that you're not stuck in one place. You can work from anywhere. For now, it is home. Every one of us, or most of the world, is at home, but it is something that we can enjoy as well. So yeah, I just want to put this in. If you have any questions, we can take them now.